an unrehearsed program. The views expressed are those of the guests and not necessarily those of the producer. Today's topic:
Is the U.S. stuck with Pakistan in Passion for Truth award-winning program?
Welcome to another edition of Passion for Truth. Pakistan has been the heartland of terrorism for many, many years and protecting a network of various terrorists. Can the U.S. fix the trust deficit, or does it have to be friends with Pakistan for strategic reasons? Does U.S. need to use Pakistan with all its warts? We'll ask our panelists next. Jaswant Raj, editor of North America for Hindustan Times, an Indian newspaper. Dr.Amarjit Singh, director, Voices for Freedom, also columnist for several newspapers. Scott Wheeler, executive director of the National Republican Trust Pact. He's writing a book on Hamas. Ken Wan, who plans to run for Congress in 2012. And Dr. Sayyid Ali Wasif, President, Society for International Reforms and Research. Welcome you all.
Thanks.
Starting with you, Dr. Ali, does the U.S. need to use Pakistan with all its warts?
Well, I'm leaving the common and regular discussion, or the issues which are regularly discussed every now and then. I'll be shedding light on the issues which are latent, which are sometimes deliberately ignored, and which are not considered important. And the issues are: when you talk about Pakistan, you are basically talking about the military of Pakistan and not the state of Pakistan. One, Pakistan is synonymous with not its people or its geography or its ideology. It's synonymous with its military. So powerful is the military, thanks to the American intervention there for the last 4 decades, and thanks to the Reagan administration there, and the successive American administrations who have been conniving with the military and is strengthening not just the military of Pakistan, which has made Pakistan, let me finish, which has made Pakistan a pariah state, a rogue state, a failed state, thanks to the U.S. policies. One. The second is, and this terrorism, it emanates from Pakistan. The policies are framed in the GHQ of Pakistan and are implemented by the civilian arm of the GHQ, the general headquarters of the Pakistan's military, by the mullah factions, by the Islamist party in Pakistan. They are complicit with the military.
You want to separate the people, you want to separate everybody, the civilian leadership, from the military, and you think that it is the military that is redirecting the passions, the extremist passions.
Exactly, and United States successive administrations have been assisting them.
How do you explain the prevailing belief, and perhaps what Dr. Ali is saying, that the military establishment has been protecting some of the most wanted terrorists, that it is the military establishment that is responsible and is giving a bad image to Pakistan's civilian leadership or civilians as such?
They are largely responsible. I mean, they are, in essence, controlling the country. Just as we would hold President Obama responsible and our Congress responsible for its actions, we need to hold the military in Pakistan responsible for its actions. And in fact, despite their denials, we have clearly defined that Osama has been staying there under their very watch. Okay? Whether or not they knew that really doesn't matter. They assured us he was not there, implying that they had searched for him, which clearly they hadn't. Given where he was, clearly they failed to do even basic searches for him.
Is it the military, Scott, that is redirecting the extremist passions against India, against U.S.?
I think the evidence is clearly in that camp, that the Pakistani military is formulating militias, in the case of the Taliban and others, and searching for allies in the event that it has ambitions to take over the government again there. The United States involvement with strengthening the Pakistani military has been nominal. It has not been the force that has created it. There were times during the Cold War when it was necessary to use Pakistan to slow the creeping communism, the Soviet Union, but that was a long time ago.
Dr. Singh, is it your sense that Pakistan's military has failed to explain the war on terror, and people think it is all America's war, and they are just being dragged into it?
I think let me make
and they are very angry about it.
Let me make first comment whatever has been said before. Neither I am a Pakistani nor I have ever visited Pakistan. But I think the way in the present day discussions around Pakistan has been made into a whipping boy is shocking. As when we look at the 64 years history of Pakistan, in the 50s, Pakistan joined CETO, which was South Asian Treaty Organization. Pakistan was made to join CENTO, which was again a Baghdad Pact in which UK, Turkey, Iraq, Iran, they were a part. Then in the late 70s, when Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we were there. We turned Mujahideens into the holy warriors. And then when the Soviet Union withdrew, we left them in the lurch. 1 million Afghans dead, 2 million wounded, 3 million Afghans as refugees in Pakistan. We left them wherever they were. Now what do we expect in such a situation? And as Mr. Ali said, that we kept on supporting different army generals in Pakistan. It was Ayub Khan first in the 60s, in the 70s it was Ziaul Haq, and then in the 90s it was Musharraf. So now after that, what kind of society and what kind of environment we expect there? So I think the military is a very powerful organization. That is the real establishment, and even whichever civilian governments have come within this time, it may be of Nawaz Sharif, it may be of even Prime Minister Gilani today, they get all the directions from the army headquarters. So I think we should share the responsibility that whatever that state the mess is in, we are responsible, and other than just blaming and condemning, we should look towards that how to salvage the situation, as Pakistan is the gateway to Central Asia, and our being next door neighbor of Sikh Punjab and to all other region, the peace in all that area, and both India and Pakistan being nuclear powers, the stable, the successful Pakistan is very important for the peace in South Asia and Central Asia as well.
Just want, do you think it's a good opportunity now for the civilian leadership to exert themselves and get the military out of the government?
Can do it.
Can they do it? The military has engaged in a campaign of divide and rule, but can they do it? Civilian leadership do it?
It's a good question, but it may sound good to us to expect the civilian leadership to take over, but can they?
Yeah.
It's nearly impossible for the civilian leadership in Pakistan to operate independent of the military, and this point has been made by everyone here that the military is so strong there, and it's strong only because it's possibly the only institution which is working, right? So it may be our hope, it may be our expectation for the civilian leadership to take over, but I wonder if they can, to what extent.
But just when Pakistan wants a friendly government in Afghanistan, America wants an honorable exit from Afghanistan. Are our interests on that dimension equal, mutual?
There are two very different equations we're talking about. The U.S. wants to leave Afghanistan, handing over the country to a government, to the people who can ensure it didn't go back to the earlier days of Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, etc. Now, we can't say the same for Pakistan. Pakistan wants a friendly government in Afghanistan so that it can, like earlier, Pakistan was the only friend the Taliban had internationally. One of the three countries to recognize the Taliban was Pakistan. So the two very different equations, and I don't think Pakistan and the US can agree on how to take the Afghanistan thing forward.
You think Pakistan will protect its Taliban sources even as the U.S. demands greater intelligence sharing?
I think it's pretty clear they will. You know, they've been there. They basically have created territory, the northwest Pakistan, where it is Taliban rule. The military doesn't even bother to do much there, and we need to be cognizant of that. We need to base our policy on that fact. There's really very little reason to even view that area as a sovereign part of the Pakistani government. It is being operated separately.
I'd like to make a comment. I think that area which Mr. Khan is pointing to is FATA, which is federally administered tribal area, which has like 7 agencies in it: North Waziristan, South Waziristan, Orakzai, Khyber, Kuram, etc. Even in the before all this conflict began there, it was a sovereign area. Only the road passing through that area was under Pakistan government. With the founder of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he signed a pact with them that no interference in their areas. So that is more than 10,000 miles area, FATA. And now lately, as that is bordering Pakistan and North Waziristan and South Waziristan, there are strong pockets of Taliban which they are offering resistance. But it has been independent even in the last years since Pakistan was carved out of Indian division. So.
Dr. Ali, Pakistanis in general are frustrated with their leadership, with the military establishment. And do you think they are just lashing out at the U.S. or India as a result of their own frustrations? They are sick and tired of their leadership.
Yes and no. Yes, because that's obvious. No, because they are not that educated, not that aware of the fundamental situation or international geopolitics. The problem is, again, the Pakistan's military establishment has given an impression to the world, especially to the White House and to the Langley people, that they are indispensable in that region. In order to conduct affairs, whether they be military or political or economic, you need to have Pakistan's military hand in those affairs. That's totally absurd.
But
totally absurd.
Are you saying U.S. does not need Pakistan's help to be successful in Afghanistan?
Any kind of Pakistan's help in order to win the war in Afghanistan, in order to win the hearts and minds of the people of Afghanistan. Not at all. And I take the responsibility as a professor of international law and as a practical field experienced person in politics in that part of the world, that Pakistan's forces' impression on the world that they are indispensable is totally absurd. It has no meaning. If from tomorrow onwards the U.S. stops the economic and military aid to Pakistan, the military establishment will crumble the next day. Crumble the next day.
Scott, how do you respond to what he said? Do we not need Pakistan? It is just a pseudo need, or what?
I take the responsibility for A to Z policy. I can tell you a new policy based on whatever my
Scott, how do you
right now.
briefly respond to what he said?
I don't understand the connection between the two. I think Pakistan is there in the region. We either have to deal with them as an enemy, or we have to deal with them as a friend, an ally, or we have to have what we have now, which is something, a hybrid of the two. It's not we didn't have the option of saying, Pakistan, get out of here, we're going to take over from here. And I don't think that they, we did.
So you're saying that what he's saying is that the U.S. does not need Pakistan to be successful in Afghanistan. Is that how is that your sense too?
Well, if we're willing to take strong action against Pakistan, because they, just like Iran is meddling in Iraq, Pakistan is meddling in Afghanistan. And if we don't, we would either have to beat back their frontiers of activity in Afghanistan, because they want to keep a hand in the operation of that government. They want to keep their bases alive there. We either have to beat them out, drive them out, or we have to consider them an ally.
Pakistan, and you raise an issue, and just one thing, why is Pakistan's fear of India, where does it stem from? Could it have been fanned by Pakistan's military establishment, or to justify excessive expenditures? How do you read the paranoia here?
It's very difficult to explain. Pakistanis, they love Indian films, they love Indian dresses, they follow television, opera, television shows in India. They want to play cricket in India, right? So, you know, it's difficult to understand how the same Pakistanis, once they cross back, they begin hating India, which is basically not true.
But Pakistan has wounded India periodically by terrorist attacks, and more frequently, more recently on Mumbai.
These attacks were not once launched by people of Pakistan.
No, I understand it. The army did it.
And the skeptical, some civilian leaders also who were part of this whole operations. But it's difficult to explain and difficult to understand why. I mean, and I know for sure that a normal or ordinary Pakistani doesn't have the same feelings about India as would the military.
But why does Pakistan continue to say, Ken, that India has been plotting to make trouble for Pakistan when sometimes it appears the other way around?
Well, because every military leader always takes advantage of how do I stay in power? And you always deflect the blame of your problem to someone else, someone external. So that's essentially what they're doing. What we need to worry about, though, is what is the U.S. role in this relationship? And quite frankly, we don't need to solve every world problem. We need to concentrate more on what the U.S.'s goals are. And quite frankly, we got involved in that area in Afghanistan for one very clearly stated reason. We said, turn over bin Laden or we will come in. We went in, we have gotten bin Laden. We have achieved our primary objective. It is time to strategize on how we pull our troops out and come home.
The army kept him under his watch, but now it has been stolen from under their nose. So have we lost the bargaining chip, or have they lost it?
To me, there's no reason now for any bargaining chip. Who cares which one had the upper hand at that point? Right now, there's no reason for us to be dealing with this government, other than as a friendly conversations within the UN and other forums. No reason to create an enemy there. That's their government, and it's not going away. So we respect them as another government in the world. Let them do what they will do.
I'd like to make a comment regarding their relationship with India. There is 1,000 years of psycho-history between the Hindus and Muslims. That is a factor which is playing on both sides, India and Pakistan. India, using its army, divided Pakistan into two, which was East Pakistan, created Bangladesh out of it, which was through the direct military intervention. Thirdly is the British colonials' unfinished business in Kashmir. Kashmir is the core issue. And for Pakistan and India, for 2-3 wars which Pakistan and India have, Kashmir had been at the center of the conflict. So I think we must start from, we can't do anything about the psycho-history. Bangladesh is a country, we can't do anything about it. But I think American pressure should be on the Indian system to resolve the Kashmir issue as per the wishes of Kashmiri people and as per the United Nations Security Council resolutions. So that will help in creating that paranoia go away, which in both countries that exists.
That's exactly a valid point. That's the only important point for that region, to bring peace in that region, and that's Kashmir. If you solve that Kashmir problem by the support of the international community as well and the United Nations, there are resolutions on behalf of the UN Security Council in favor of the self-determination of Kashmir. I think this is a valid point, that Kashmir belongs to Pakistan. No doubt about that. Yes.
I wouldn't even answer that question. It's not a disputed country. It's an issue which needs to be discussed with these two countries, India and Pakistan. And U.S. has been very mature about it. No matter what people say, U.S. has been very mature about it and said this issue needs to be solved by these two countries, and that's it. And that's the way it's going to be. And these two are mature countries. Pakistan is a mature country, so is India. These two guys can sit down together and talk about things and resolve issues.
But the peace is not forthcoming for decades.
Well, there are issues which go on for they take time. It's a difficult issue to sort.
Now,
It's not an easy issue to sort.
Now, see the difference between those who hail from Pakistan and those who hail, my friend, honorable friend from India. See the difference. The Pakistanis, they are outright, upfront in criticizing their establishment, their wrong policies, but my Indian friends, they do not have the guts to do so.
No.
See the difference.
No, hey, hang on. Where is this going? Why should I criticize the government of India about? What about? Tell me.
Because you're ethnicity, nationalism, whether they are justified or
that's a very
not.
myopic view of things. Religion is not a determinant of nationality. And that's something which was thrown out the window a long time ago. To still buy that argument that religion determines nationality,
Let me make a comment.
that's
here.
really primitive.
President Obama, during his election campaign, promised that if he is elected as a president, he will appoint 2 special envoys, one in the Middle East, one in Kashmir. He appointed George Mitchell in Middle East, but when it came to appointing regarding Kashmir, India resisted it, and their undertone was that whoever will be appointed, we will declare him as a persona non grata. Late Richard Holbrooke was then appointed as a ambassador between Pakistan and Afghanistan, not to that. So I think we will have to acknowledge that in the last 64 years, it was 48 when India stopped water supply to Pakistan, then it was 65 war, it was 71, then it was the 1998 Kargil war. So in all these wars, the core issue had been Kashmir. So by ignoring Kashmir or putting it under the carpet or by bringing repression on the people, I don't think that...
Who's putting Kashmir under the carpet? India said we'll discuss.
No, India should
already discuss everything.
Sir, India should honor the United Nations
resolutions.
Resolutions.
We are not discussing a bilateral, we are discussing an international issue.
Yeah, it's a disputed territory.
They should look into to discuss.
You are scared to pass resolutions. Plebiscite. Right to Kashmir. And what right we gave to East Timor, to South Sudan,
Come to the Indian pressure.
Okay, Dr. Ali, do you think that Kashmir, the unresolved Kashmir issues at the root of the problem between India and Pakistan, and that's why Pakistan is always fearful of India's attacks?
No. That's again a card which is very well played by the Pakistan's military. The Kashmir card. That's what we call it, Kashmir card. What happens is it's in the hands of the U.S. and the international community to come mediate between the two countries, India and Pakistan, and solve the problem. If you could mediate between the South and the North Sudanese and you can have a new country carved out of that, if you can change the regime in Iraq, if you can mediate between the Mindanao peoples in Philippines and in Latin America, why couldn't you mediate in South Asia between the two nuclear powers?
So what does U.S. gain?
U.S. will gain respect, credibility, and international influence in that region.
And stability in the region.
Stability in that region.
We'll be right back with our closing comments. Stay with us. Passion for Truth.
I have a comment to make to Dr. Ali's point concerning the subservience of the Pakistan military to the U.S. government and U.S. interventions. I think the argument is rather simplistic, if I might be a little provocative. You stated that if the U.S. were to stop its support, then within 24 hours the Pakistani military would crumble. I mean, that's absurd. If the Pakistani military, as organized as it is so dependent on the U.S., within 24 hours it would find another client supporter. It would be a client state to another state, whether it's China or Russia or any of Saudis or any other countries around the world. They are sophisticated institutions who currently have relations with North Korea, China, Russia, and any other number of countries around the world. So they'll find some way to survive. I don't think that the discussion is helped by demonizing the U.S.'s role in its dealings with Pakistan. and sort of making us as the source of all evil there. The U.S. does have interests. It is playing a role there. Some of it is positive, some of it is negative. We do make mistakes. I'll readily admit that. And the lack of knowledge in the U.S., the appalling lack of knowledge of one of the cultural distinctions and historical relevances in Pakistan, in India, in Afghanistan is abhorrent. But we are not the source of all evil there. And for all the shortcomings of the Pakistan military, and there are a number, to somehow suggest that they're propped up by U.S. support, I just can't accept that.
Ken, you want to respond briefly? That's a very good comment, George. Thank you.
I'll address this issue.
Okay.
No, please go ahead, please. No, start.
Okay.
Well, the problem with China is not that powerful as it looks like. Where have you seen Chinese military, or for that matter, political influence? Where? Name the country. Except for its economic and financial interests, you have never seen any Chinese political, except for East Asia, which is in the neighboring China, of course. You know, in the neighborhood, you have to take care of the neighborhood first. But other than the neighborhood in Southeast Asia and East Asia, you don't see any Chinese presence, any credible Chinese political influence, military influence for that matter, one. So China, out of the question. The second, Russia, not at all. Russia will side Pakistan. Russia considers Pakistan from the day of its inception a pariah state, from the day of its inception. I'm talking on the basis of a book written by me on Pakistan and Russian relations. One. Number three, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is just a trigger, just a button, and it is using it as a trigger. A trigger for terrorism and for ideology, for ideological...
Well, citing a book written by me, China does have military ambitions, and they're proving it every year. I'm sorry, Ken, go ahead. Well, that they certainly are.
Name the countries.
Very briefly.
Name the countries.
Would you
military ambitions. Name the countries.
We should be less concerned.
China has invested a lot in Pakistan, even in the northern areas of Kashmir now, Gilgit and Baltistan. Their physical...
So what did I say? Investment, I'm talking about military.
They developed a stealth aircraft. You don't need a stealth aircraft for defensive techniques. They're building aircraft carriers. That's for power projection.
Friend, he made a very different point about China. He said China is defending its economic interests world over, but it's not pursuing its political agenda with military. That's the point he was making.
No,
how are they
separate? But
how are they separate?
They are. But
I agree with the comment. As immediately after this.
Okay, we don't have much time left. Just very briefly.
All of this misses the point that we need to be concerned about what's good for us, not what's good for China, what's good for Pakistan, what's good for India. We need to be focused on what do we need to do for the U.S. We need to make sure that the nuclear weapons in Pakistan do not fall in the wrong hands. Beyond that, we don't have a lot of concerns over there.
Yes,
this is also a misconception and a misdemeanor and a propaganda technique evolved by the Pakistan's military. Now look, if you're going to deal with some other entity other than the Pakistan military forces, it is a chance that these arsenal would fall into the hands of the rogue elements. That's the propaganda.
That's all the time we have. We'll bring you another edition of Passion for Truth next Saturday and Sunday. Thank you for joining us. Thank you all.
If you have any question, comment, or suggestion on this program, please send us an email at mschawla@hotmail.com or write to us at 1011 South Meadow Lane, McLean, Virginia.